Welcome to my little podcast for the love of unity in our community. I am super excited to have my new friend, Paola Rosas, join us today to talk about her story, her deep roots in Kennett Square. Yeah, I think you're going to enjoy getting to know her as I did. Welcome, Paola.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I was really um honored that you asked me and shocked at the same time. I'm like, what? Does she think I'm interesting?
Yes!
So much for having me.
I totally think you're interesting. So I did a little digging and I looked up your bio and I'm so fascinated how you chose Kennett Square to root yourself in our community. And I'm also lucky enough to sit on the senior center board with you. I need to sit next to you to learn from you. So I'm super excited to do that. But before we kind of get on that, can I hear a little bit about your story, how you chose to come to Kennett Square from Mexico City?
Yes, yes. So I think for me was very different, I want to say, compared to most of the people here in Kennett. I want to say that most people in Kennett are here because of work, because looking for a better life. Um, for me was yes, the same way, but it was a little different. I was just here visiting my aunt. I was in college and I was here visiting my aunt, and I just decided, let me go to learn English to improve my English and for the summer, and I'll be back to Mexico. I'm not interested in staying. The US is not for me. I love Mexico. My family, everybody's there. But I was here, and this is when I met my husband. And that's another podcast if you want. Another story. But life brought me here. I wasn't expecting to live here. And when you are kind of moved from where your roots are and to another place, you have to find your community. Like I was lucky enough to end up here in Kennett and to really fit right in, to make lifelong friends now. I've been here in this area for 26 years. So I always tell people I left Mexico when I was 19. I've been here for 26 years. I'm Kennett Squarean.
That's
I've been here for so long. I do miss my family, my country. My whole family is there except for the aunt that I came to visit in Philly. She's here. We see each other. But besides that, my sisters, like my core support, my mom, my sisters, everybody is in Mexico. So, but I found great, great people here that have guided me, supported me, and I've done the same for them. So it's been a joy living here for so long.
that's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, so you are truly rooted here to this community. How did you get started? I mean, I hear there's a love story that we'll have to explore in another time, but did you finish college in the States or did you?
So I
That was it.
tried to. So I had kids. I was 20 years old when I had my daughter. So I
Okay.
was young. I was a young mom. I really didn't know how to navigate the system and, having a young kid, being young myself. And um, so I just got out of my comfort zone for myself and for my kid, for my daughter to meet people and to be social place. So I just did things, that probably if I would have been in Mexico with my family surrounding me, I would have not done. So um
You had to figure out support.
I had to figure out my support.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that really took me out of, like I said, it made me grow up faster and out of my comfort zone. And I think for me to find my support meant that I had to give my time. So I volunteered a
Okay.
lot. So that's what allowed me to meet so many great people to volunteer and help people.
So where did that start? Because I looked at your resume. You have been volunteering a very long time and with a lot of wonderful organizations.
So one of the things that um, so my husband is, well, he grew up Methodist. So we started volunteering. We joined Church of the Open Door back in the day. They actually closed their doors. They were here in Kennett. It was a Methodist congregation, and we started there. So I started volunteer there. Well, going to church there and then volunteering. It was uh, a few church members and myself that we started a group meeting during the day. So we wanted to make sure that women in Kennett, Hispanic women in Kennett that had nothing, nothing, that they had young children and they didn't have a community to come and join us. So we would teach the women English, and it was a social place. And then the little kids, we would teach them preschool. Some of them were babies, so it was just a little thing. So from that group, I made my best friends to this day. We are family now. But from that group, it was because I knew English. I was like the in between person. So I would go pick up the ladies, bring them to the church. We would share food, and then they would go and have a little English class, and the little kids would have their own little activities. And we would do that, and I would pick them up, drop them off, pick them up, and so that's how I started.
That's wonderful. And
Yeah.
that has just continued over time. You've just kind of been, you started in this little hub, which maybe felt somewhat familiar, right? But then you helped new people who came to the community feel like supported, that they see you doing it
Hmm.
and learning, English. I can't even fathom learning a language. I just don't have the mind for that. So I'm always so amazed by people that, like I know you had to do it because we kind of expect you to speak English, right? Which I don't know if that's right. I have really encouraged my children to learn Spanish. That was very important to me because I was so ignorant to the language, especially in our community, because I feel like we have this beautiful culture. It still feels a little bit like we need pulling together. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, have you seen this community evolve to the point like you feel really good about that? And then I guess I want to ask, like, where do you see us going? Like, how can we make it stronger and better, the ties between us?
Yes. I think it could be better when I've served on the school board and when I've, been part of Casa Guanajuato, which is a cultural organization here in Kennett. Um, I think there's good intentions, and like any other community, right? There are people that really want to do it and some other people rather not, right? But I think we do have a really great fusion of our cultures here. It's like a special, I think people are open at learning more about their neighbor, and their neighbor happens to be from another place. So I love that. There are little things, that could be better. Um, but I think we're getting there. I think we're gonna get there. I want to say in 2014, that's when I felt there was like more of an intention, and
Okay.
then COVID happened, and then it kind of, right now, it feels that there's a lot of great support for the Hispanic community, but there's also a division. But, it's just part of the times we're living in. And
Mm.
I think we do have a great community. I do think that people are welcoming and kind, and we're just lucky to live here.
Well, I'm glad that we have people like you that, can be that, um, I think uniter, right? Like of cultures, and, kind of push boundaries to make space, because we want to hear. I know, like, I want to hear your voice. I want to get to know my neighbor. I want to know what I can do to support. That is something that's very important to me and why I chose this community for my kids to go to school in. Because, I certainly could have gone across, to another district that doesn't look the way we look. I intentionally chose Kennett because we were more diverse.
Mhm.
And that, with my upbringing, that was important
Mhm.
for me. And, I went to college and I was, it wasn't diverse. And I was so disappointed in not having that.
Mhm.
My high school was more diverse than the college I went to. It was just so bizarre to me.
Mhm.
And I've always been, like a believer in the melting pot of our country and that unites us and giving everyone an opportunity to grow and connect and to learn from one another. So that I love that you're that person. So tell me more. Tell me how you ended up. I know you were Rotary for a while at Kennett, and then we've got to get to what you're doing right now, the executive director after the Bell program, which is a huge program that's been around for 25 years.
Yes.
So what led you to that organization?
So again, just being everywhere all the time. And it was when I started with After the Bell, helping, volunteering when my kids were in the middle school. So
Okay.
that was maybe 12 years ago. I don't know, it's been a while. So I was there, and my job was to call parents. If the student didn't show up, I would call the parent just to make sure, hey, your son or daughter was here at school, but didn't stay for After the Bell. So that's how I started. I did that for a couple years. Then I stepped away because I had a full-time job and I just couldn't do it. And then they asked me to be back as a board member. So I was their board member for a year or two, and the executive director moved to Baltimore. So it was just like a natural transition of they looked at me and they said, you know, the program, you would be I've been working with kids most of my life. So I work for Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. So I love middle school age kids. So it just felt like the right move. It was very organic. It was very natural for everybody. So I've been doing that for 3 years now. So I'm very blessed. Every time I speak to my board, I always say, I'm the luckiest person that that I get to do this job in the community I love. And the kids, a lot of the kids I already know.
Yeah.
So it's been a blessing.
Well, tell me more about the program. Obviously, it's been around a long time. What makes it so special?
So it really is a service to our community, to those working parents. For those students, there's a study that have shown that the most, I forget the word sometimes and I apologize, but at risk kids are middle school age kids, right? They're too old for daycare and too young for after school activities. So a lot of middle school students go home to an empty home,
Right.
and that's when, trouble could start. So 25 years ago, three members of Church of the Advent decided we can offer something for those students to do. So it's a free program for 25 years. It's been free, volunteer led. Like, I'm the only employee, full-time employee at
Wow.
the organization. So everything runs by volunteers and the kindness of our community. We provide free transportation. So there's no excuse. The kids just stay at the school and then we take them home later. We give them a healthy snack. And we provide activities from cooking. So we have seafood cooking to aviation. We take them to New Garden Airport, to STEM, to art. We do art. Right now we had a drama improv led by Westchester University psychology department, where they help students just kind of like express their feelings in a fun way and, talk about the feelings that you might be experiencing. So it's just been great. It's just a great program.
How many kids do you have in the program now?
So right now, so it's three times a year for 6 weeks. So we just finished our fall session and we had 240 kids
That's pretty
register.
cool. Wow,
Yeah.
that's great. That's
Yes.
great. So have
So
you seen continuous like growth over the years?
yes. So, well, right now in the last 3 years, we've seen the most growth that we hadn't seen since 2000, I think, four.
Oh, wow.
So COVID really hurt a lot because we lost a lot of our volunteers. So that's
Okay.
where we struggle, our volunteer pool. A lot of our volunteers are retired, and some of them are, getting older and they just didn't want to work in a school during COVID. So, so that's a little bit, if we had more volunteers, we would be able to take more students for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
So that's kind of where you are right now. Tell me a little bit more about the programming. I mean, every session you revamp the programming, or are there like, did the kids say what they are interested in, and then you kind of figure out like who could volunteer and coach that or teach
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yes. And that's so both ways. So we have key like staple activities. Number one, homework help is always there. The kids also love art. So we have our art classes. And so sorry, my dog is scratching the door. Hopefully. So we have the staple activities, but every cycle I look for new activities. And that comes from me being in the community and talking to people and them sharing their passions and
Yeah.
me saying, "Whoa, would you like to share it?"
Uh-huh.
You know, and then also students come up to me and say, "We would love like Dungeons and Dragons." That was a year ago. Two brothers came to me and said, "We really want to do a Dungeons and Dragons club." And I'm like, "Oh, wonderful, yes." So I looked at the high school. I always ask the high school for help. But then their dad volunteered. So we've been having Dungeons and Dragons with like 20 kids every once a week for the
Oh,
6 weeks
that's fun.
since then. So that's how we go about.
How do you make money? How do you raise money?
It's a lot of grant writing, a lot
Okay.
of donations. We have an event annually to raise funds.
Okay.
Um, but it's all a lot of grant writing.
Wow.
And honestly, just the kindness of our community. We have a very generous community, so
Yeah.
we really are lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can see the passion that you have for what you're doing right now, and those kids are so lucky to see your face every day. I would say,
Thank
just
you.
to know that you're the backbone of this program. I think that's great. So, yeah, I don't know if I've met anyone like you that you do so much. You really do. So everything you do seems to be a strategic way to immerse yourself in getting to know other people.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
I don't, I think it just happens. I
Okay.
truly believe in that life flows, right? And I do believe that the universe, God, whatever you just brings you the people you need
Okay.
if you are open to it. So
Yeah.
I honestly, if it looks strategic, thank you, but I
But
have
it's more of
more,
a flow.
it's more of a flow to me.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
just
cool. I mean,
keeping.
so yeah, you were on the Rotary. You're still on the Rotary?
Yeah, the Longwood
Gettysburg?
Rotary. Yes,
Okay.
still part of the Longwood Rotary.
Okay.
After COVID, I had to say no to several things. So right now, my key is Longwood Rotary, the Senior Center, Kenner Senior Center, and Young Moms. Those
Young
are my
moms.
places where I'm spending most of my time. I'm
Okay.
investing my time in those places.
Okay. Tell me
Mhm.
about young moms.
Young Moms. has been also another blessing in my life. It was just a friend of mine said they're looking for bilingual mentors. Would you
Mhm.
be interested in it? And it was right after COVID, and I said, yeah, I don't have right now anything, I can do it. And I've been doing it now for 4 years, 3 years, and on the board for 2 of those years. And it's just been great because I didn't realize that I qualified as a young mom when I was a young mom. Um, and just seeing the support that these ladies get and the help and the community they build with each other, it's been great to be part of it. And again, I mentored two young moms, and both of them have been great, and they now are kind of part of my family too. So yeah, it's just a great organization.
Yeah, it is. I've heard a lot about it. And then why your interest in the senior center? What do you hope to kind of accomplish with that?
So I just think the senior center, well, it was two reasons. One of them because when I was part of Church of the Open Door, when I was a member in that church, we used to meet there. So it has for me like a home feeling. It feels it's a safe place.
Hmm.
And I kind of disconnected from there for a while, but I feel like for me also the community is important. And I think
Hmm.
it's an important organization in a population that needs support, and it needs, just I don't know, more folk no not focus, like showcase,
Yeah, I was
you
going to say visibility,
visibility. That's
Yeah,
the right word, visibility.
yeah.
So I hope to help with that. I also know there are a lot of Hispanic or Spanish speaking seniors that
Hmm.
are disconnected. They're just home. So how do we connect them to this community, these
Right.
resources? So
Yeah.
that's the one. And also because my mom is getting to that age, and I just think it would give me an opportunity to understand and connect with her better and just navigate this stage in our lives together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think I'm totally changing the name of this podcast. It's not about after, the bell, even though I really respect your work that you're doing there as the executive director, because it is an amazing program. But this podcast is about you and how special you are
Oh, thank
in the community. And I think it's really for the love of unity. You
you.
know, we need people like you. We need to hear your voice, and how wonderful that you are just so rooted in reaching. Like you're reaching out to share passion and to share culture. So we are very lucky to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like I get more than what it seems that I'm giving. But honestly,
Mhm.
all of this feeds my soul so much and I think that's why I'm here, right? That's the purpose of life
Mhm.
to gain experiences and relationships and all that. So I'm just blessed to be here.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.